Hi guys, welcome to this session in SharePoint Lists. In this module, I want to show you how you can create a list, import a list, and edit a list. So I'm on the site Zulu Wars, and at the top, I've got this new button. If you click into there, the first item is List. When you click into Lists, you've got some options here. So you've got a blank one, which I'll do in a minute, from an existing list, from an Excel file, CSV file, and then all these template options which have the columns already formatted for you, which you can have a look at a later date. So first of all, let's have a look at creating a list from Excel. So if you click on From Excel, you've basically got files on one of your sites that you could utilize, but the one I need to upload. So I'm clicking on Upload, and then it drops into your computer, and then this one is in Examples, and it's in Excel, and it's called Filter and Sort, this one. So you upload that list. That list then becomes your SharePoint list. Brings all the columns in like so. It's picking up the table. There's lots of information in that file, but this is the only one that's formatted as a table, so that's why it's picking that up. So you must name it or format it as a table for it to see it. Now if I go next and just follow this through, I'll leave it as that, create. And that will create a list, which is very, very quick. There's a list, so you get the column headings there across the top. So if I just move that over, it's exactly the same as it was in Excel. The only problem with this one is it's actually brought in this column as numbers, not dates. So I'm going to hide this column, so I don't actually need this column. So these little arrows at the top of each column, you can go into column settings and then hide. I'm going to hide that. Now, if you wanted to delete a column, you actually do have to go into list settings, which I'll go into later on. But there you go. There's the information straight up from Excel. Now, to edit this, you can click on Add New Item, which then gives you this sort of screen where you can just add the details. But I find that quite a long-winded process. If you click on this Edit in Grid View, which used to be called Quick Edit, you've got this where you can just basically type. So there's no code there. For example, if I just type CU 1 2 3 4 5, that's now in there. I'm just typing it like an Excel spreadsheet. You've also got, similar to an Excel spreadsheet, if that ID number is the same for this next guy, or very similar, you could pull that down so it's similar, and then maybe just go on the end of that and type an extra number, 6. So it's a quick way of editing. See this, same with this one. Say the section there is the same below and the same below there, that I need to just pull this down. You can just pull these section numbers down very quickly to fill that information in. I can also, if I wanted to, get that little circle and go across, which I don't, so I'll go back like so. And I can also use conditional formatting to color this up. So what I want to do is put conditional formatting on this gender column, and then I want to do validation on this column, and then you can see how that works. So if you go to the gender column first off, you'll notice next to the column headings on the right there's a drop down arrow which gives you lots of features there. Filter by whatever. If I go for filter by first, then you've got, there's only 2 in that column, so I'll apply. So it filters that, and then you can knock that filter off, put it back on there, apply, brings everything back. And it says there's a little letter T there, T, and then you've got a 1 on this column, the age column. That's just the type of data that it is. That's a number, that's text. So that's all that means. But to do conditional formatting, let's go into this one. So drop the arrow down, column settings, go to format this column, and then this little pane opens up on the right, and you've got conditional formatting as one of the options for the gender column. Clicking on there, so it's all gone grey straight off. Now I want that to be pink as the default. So if I click on this little A, it'll give me the pink option. So that's gone pink. And then you can add a second rule. So this time it's going to be if gender is equal to, and I'm going to type M, and then if that's the case, I do want it to be blue, so I'll just click and save that, and you can see it's already gone blue, which is great. And then you can close that off. Now, data validation, I can have data validation in a column like this, or I can put it in this column, it doesn't matter. So what I want to do here is if somebody types in something that's not allowed, I want it to come up with a message. So what is allowed is grade EO, AO, and AA. That's it. Can't make a grade up. It has to be one of those. So to do that, you're going into the little down arrow, column settings. This time you're going to edit at the top there, and you get this information which you can fill in. But down the bottom there, you've got more options. Coming down, you've got column validation in there. Coming down again, this is where you put the formula. So you can see the little guide there, what you can put. So first of all, you have to put the column heading in square brackets. Now I'm going to use the OR function, which works in a similar way to what it does in Excel. So it's going to be equals OR, and then I need to open the bracket. Now I need to refer to grade in square brackets equals, and then what it equals AA, it has to go in quotes like that. But that's just one of the grades. Then I've got to do it again. Grade in square brackets equals AO, closing the quotes each time, comma, and then the last one is grade in square brackets equals EO in quotes, and then you need to close the bracket. So that's the test, and this has to return, as it says in this little help here, a true or false. So with the OR function, any one of these is okay. It will return true. Any other one, it'll come up with false. And then I'll just put a message there, wrong, grade, wrong grade. So wrong grade is going to come up, and if I've done that correctly, when I just checking the brackets are on there, I'll save that. And then if I go down to the bottom and add a new item, so get myself to the bottom, let's get into this grade column. So if I try and type SS, that's coming up with a message. If I click into it, it's telling me that I can't have SS because it's breaking that rule. So I will not have SS. I'll put something else. I'll put AO, and then that allows me to do that. So it doesn't stop you doing it. It just comes up with that message that you've made a mistake. So that's the list imported in from Excel. I can also export this to Excel, but using that button there, I don't want to send it back to Excel. I'm going to create a new list. So I'm going back to home, on home. Okay, leave it. There is a bit of delay when you're actually entering data. You have to be careful that you do let it save. I'm not too fussed about that on this example, but you would in real life. So on home, I'm going to new list. Now I'm going to do this myself. So I'm creating a blank list, and I'm going to give it a name. Just going to call it my list for this example. My list. And then I'm clicking create. And it just gives you basically a blank column and a title column, and then you need to add the rest. So I've got title, and then it says add column. So if you want to change the title, which I do, I'm just going to call that item. So if you drop the arrow down, column settings, rename. So I'm going to call that item. So get in there, delete that, and call it item, and then just save that. That is usually a line of text. It says text next to it. So I'm going to add another column. So I want a date column. So date, next, and then I'm going to call this start. And again, you've got options there for date and time if you want the time as well, which I don't. Default value, I don't want that. Calculated field, I'm not interested in that either at the moment. Saving that, and then adding another date column and call this end. And then leave everything as it is, save that. So then I want to put some information in here before I do this next column, because I want to do a calculation field that's going to work out the difference between the end date and the start date. So edit, and then you can just start entering items. So we'll go for phase 1, nothing too technical. And I'm going to pull that down so I've got a few phases and I can just change that. So I've got 3 phases, and then I'll go for start date. So this is a date field. So when you click in there, you can actually click on the date. Now that's coming as an American date, which is slightly irritating, but it doesn't matter. I can work with it. And the end date, I'll go the 18th, and then I'll just do some for the other ones. Just click into it, 17th, and the end date for that, I'll just go a bit further forward, Christmas Day, and then last one, start on the 18th, and finish on the 31st, say for example. There's some dates. Now I want to know how many days between those 2 dates there are. So I want to do a calculation field. Now a calculation field you need to do in settings, because if I go add column, calculation is not in this list. So if I click on that, it will take me into settings, but I'm just going to cancel that for now. The little cog at the top is settings. Get in there, go to list settings, and then you can create a column at the bottom. Before I go down to the bottom, actually, if you ever want to delete a list, that's where you go, delete list, if you've done it all wrong. But down the bottom, you've got create column, creating column. And then this is going to be called duration. And it's going to be a calculated field. So these are all the types of fields that you can have. There's a few extra ones in this list, obviously calculation. And then when you do a calculation, you come up with the fields that you've already created, and then you can just basically do this. So the formula is going to be the end date minus, click in there, minus the start date. Double click on start. That's all it is. And then I'm coming down, I'm clicking OK, and then I'm going to the link back to my list, and then hopefully that works it out for me, and it does. 7 days between those two, the 11th to the 18th, and so on and so on. Now with lists you can have different views, you can do groups, so it's not really worth doing a group on this because it's all the same, but you've got views. Now I can add a view, or I can utilize the views that are already here. So you've got list, which is where it's on, compact list, and you've got, that's where it was already on, auto height. But I can create another view, and I can do a filter and create a view on that. But let's have a look at adding a view, because one of the views that you can do with date fields is create a Gantt chart. So when you click on add view through there, you get these 3 other views. So we're on list, you've got gallery, calendar, gallery, board. Now you really need to have some sort of categories to do this, but what I want to do is show you how to do a Gantt chart. So it's not in here. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go up to the cog again to get into list settings, and then I'm coming down to the bottom of this to create a view through here. So when you create a view through here, you've got the same options, but you've got this extra one, Gantt view. So I'm going to click on that, and what it'll do, it will give me the option to, I'll just call this Gantt, And then you've coming down, you've got your fields there. That's all the fields I want. And then you come right down to the bottom, and this is where you've got to select items. So I want it's the title it's picking up, and then you go in the start date. So start, and then end, and then you've got percent complete. I'll leave that, and then predecessors. You've got options for that. I'm going to leave that as it is. Okay, that'll do. So you go down to the very, very bottom and click OK, and let's see what that does. So that's given you a Gantt chart. You could have put the predecessors on and things like that, but there you go. I want you to do a very simple one, and that is called a Gantt chart view. Now, I'm going back to a different list. I'm going back to this list, the one that I did before, to look at the filtering options and the views that you can create through here. So if I want to group, so I could group, click on group by title. Let's go for title. That should be section, actually. I should name that section. If we go on title, it should basically group all of these different sections. I don't like the look of that, so I'm just going to knock that off. And I want to group by, let's group by gender. It might not look as bad. Group by gender, male, female, and you can see the options there. Ungroup that. Now, what you can do is, if I group by grade, let me group by grade. If I group by grade, so that's grouping by all the grades, and you've got the options there. If I come into this grade column, you've got totals. If I do a count, down the bottom there, it's telling me there's 21 altogether, and it's giving me the count of each part of the group. Now, that's quite useful information, grouping and then counting in this case. So what you could do is you could save this as a view. So you've got it grouped. So if I go into all items, you've got save view as, and then I'll put it down as group by grade. That's the name of that view, so I'll save that. So you've got that saved. You can also add views by clicking on this add view button. So that was saving a view that you'd already created. Add view gives you these 4 options. List is what we're on, but let's look at gallery. Calendar would be of use if you've got dates, which we haven't, and board. You can select boards, which makes it look a bit like planner. But let's start by calling this my view. Call it my view. And I'll go for gallery, and then you just create, and it just basically puts it in a gallery like so. You've still got the conditional formatting on, and my view is now sitting next to group by grade. So you've got all items, you've got group by grade as a view, and you've got my view, which is the gallery view, like so. So you still got the option to sort, filter and group. You can still do that as well, even on these. You can also get lists to send you a message if somebody changes something, and you can also link it into Power Automate as well. Now, if I go to the top there, you've got rules. So let's have a look at creating a rule. Click on that. You've got these preset ones. So an item is modified, a new item is created, an item is deleted. Let's have a look at that. So when an item is deleted, send an email and then to me. Create. So if somebody deleted it, you will get an email. I'll close that off. That's one good thing to do. Also, where it says integrate there, this is where you can actually link all this to the Power Apps, Power Automate, create a flow from this. So similar sort of thing. If somebody deleted something, you could get it to go to Power Automate and do several steps, lot more complicated than the rules, and you can fill your boots with that. Now you can also, this is a list you've got here, but you can go to forms and click on that and create a form, new form, based on this list. And I'll call this my form. So this will go into Office 365 forms, but you can see that it's got, I better put space between it. You can see that it's got all the columns there. You would just be filling in this through this form. Like that, my form, and you can see the fields there. And I'm going to save changes and then close this down. So this is basically going to be available for anybody in forms to fill in your list. So you'll use that as an interface. So it would be a bit like an Access database where you've got a form to input data into this list. Now when I go back into forms, that form is there, look, so it's ready to use, and any other forms I have would be sitting here as well. So I'll close that off, and that's it. So what I want to look at next is how to create a list from scratch, and this time I'm going to do what's called a lookup, so you can see how you can look up information from another list. So I'm going back to home, and I'm going to click on new list. So I'll go new list, and this is going to be a blank list, and I'll call this products, and then create. It's just going to be a list of products. So I'm going to change the title to column settings to ID. Get in there, change that to ID, save, and then I'm just going to have a list of products, text, next, and it's just going to be called products, leaving all of that as it is, save, and then I'm going to add some products, so just editing that in this view. So item number 1, and then coming down to, I'll just do 3 products, 3. So we'll have Excel, and then Access, and then Word. Now because I'm actually typing this out, you can actually use a column that's got choices. See choice, and then add. So what I can do there is I'll put course, and then instead of typing those 3 there, I could have put them in here, but I'll do level 1, 2 and 3 on this one. So it's like introduction, intermediate and advanced. Level 3. So that's what I want, like so. Save that. So that column now is going to give me that option. If I click into it, I can go level 1, click into that one, go level 2, click into that one, go level 3. So that's the first list. So now what I want to do is create a new list, which is going to look up at this. So we'll close this one down by going back to home and creating a new list, and this time it's going to be blank again. I'll just call this sales items, and then create that one. So I'll rename the title to sales ID, rename that, column settings, sales ID. So it's like going to be like a little Access database. One of the options in here, if I click on that, it's going to be lookup. I want to look up that other table that I created. So that other table was called products. So down here, one of the options is lookup, that one. And then going next, I'll just call it item. And then it's a lookup, and it's going to look at site pages, products, and that's the title, products. So edit, sales item 1, item, so that's a lookup, and I can see the products in the other table, like so. Click another one, item 2. In this list, I'll see the products Excel, like so. If you want to add extra items from this lookup list, you can do so. So what I've done on the products list, I've added an extra column description. I want that to be pulled through into the sales item list. So if I go to where it says item and column settings, edit, this is the settings at the moment. At the bottom there, you've got more options, and then add additional columns. So description is what I want to add, and then save, and then you get that symbol there, the lookup symbol, and that information comes through like so. And if I sell another item, so if I just do edit list, add item 3, picking something else from this list, Word, it automatically pulls that information through. So that's basically how you create a lookup in lists. So hopefully this video has been of use, got you into lists and shown you how to do some basic formatting, some basic management, some conditional formatting, some validation rules, and how to look up information from another table. So thanks for your time, and I'll catch you on the next one.